Dear students, welcome to another lecture on structural analysis. So in this lecture, we will be continuing with our discussion on moment distribution method. So what we will be trying to do is, we will try to learn how to solve a continuous beam using moment distribution method. Now, as you know, the first thing we have to do is, we need to calculate the fixed end moments for each of the spans. Before we do that, if you look into this particular question, we are having a fixed support at A, then we are having intermediate supports as well as a overhanging end. So in problems related to moment distribution, we will not be dealing with the overhang explicitly. Rather, what we will do is, we will transfer the overhanging moment to the support as a 200 kilonewton meter. So also the effect of this overhang, if you look, you are going to have this 200 kilonewton coming at the support like this. So this will be the effect of the overhang. Okay, and this vertical load will be coming on the support. So this will be the, we are transferring the effect of the overhang to the beam. So now the beam that we will be considering for analysis will be this one. Okay, so for this beam, let us say the span, every details are given. So the very first step in the analysis is, we need to calculate the fixed end moments. So let us calculate the fixed end moments one by one. So FEM, calculating FEM is the first portion. So if we consider the span AB, we are having, the load is 100 kilonewton per meter. So the fixed end moments will be acting like this, and we are assuming clockwise moments as positive. So clockwise moments are assumed as positive. So what we will do is, if we calculate this, the value is WL square by 12. The span is 4 meter. So if we substitute the values, we will be getting the value of EMF AB. We will be getting it as, it is anti-clockwise, so it is minus 133.3 kilonewton meter, and EMF BA is going to be plus 133.33 kilonewton meter. So this will be the fixed end moment for AB and BA. Similarly, we can calculate it for span BC. Again, this will be the directions of the fixed end moments. Clockwise is assumed as positive. The value here will be, as we know, it is WAB square by L square, and the value here will be WA square B by L square. If we substitute the values, we will get the magnitude as 37.5 here. So MCB is going to be minus 37.5 kilonewton meter, and M this is MBC, and MCB will be, if we substitute the values, we will be getting, there is a slight mistake. The value of MBC is 112.5 kilonewton meter, and the value of MBC is plus 37.5 kilonewton meter. There is a negative sign here, minus 112.5 kilonewton meter and a plus 37.5 kilonewton meter. The minus is because this is acting in the counterclockwise direction. And when it comes to CD, this is a central concentrated load, and we know the magnitude of the bending moment is WL by 8. So if we substitute, we will get MCD is equal to minus 100, and MDC will be equal to plus 100 kilonewton meter. So these are the values of the fixed end moments. After having computed the fixed end moments, the next calculation we need to make is the calculation regarding the distribution factors. So to calculate the distribution factor, what we will do is, we will make a tabulation form. Without using the tabulation form also, we can do this calculation in this particular case. However, as a common practice, we need to develop a tabulation form. So the first column will be the joints. So this is joint A. The second will be joint B. Then we have joint C. also the last one will be joint D. The next column will be, so this is joint, next column will be member. So we have two members here, we have two members here also. So this is at joint A, the member is AB. At joint B, the members are BA and BC. At joint C, എന്താ തുല്ലേ ആദ്യം ഒരു സീരീസ് എക്സാം ക്രിയേറ്റ് ചെയ്യും, സീരീസ് എക്സാം പറഞ്ഞാൽ ക്രിയേറ്റ് ചെയ്യുക, എന്നിട്ട് എൻട്രി ആ എൻട്രി ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും. ശരി. Next is CB, and this is CD, and this is DC. So these are the members acting at different joints. Next thing is we have to write the member relative stiffness. So the member relative stiffness are the span of every relative stiffness is equal to I by L, and I is the same for all the members, L is also the same for all the members. So every term will be I by 4. And the next column will be the distribution factor. Distribution factor is equal to K divided by sigma K. So this is the equation for distribution factor, and we know that for the fixed end the distribution factor is 0, and for a pin end or an overhanging end, okay, so it is 0 for fixed, and for end pin or overhanging end, what we have to do is we have to take it as 1. Okay, for the other end, for this one, for example at B we are having two members, so it is going to be I by 4 divided by I by 4 plus I by 4, so that is going to be 1 by 2. Similarly for BC also it is going to be I by 4 divided by I by 4 plus I by 4, it is also going to be equal to 1 by 2, so we'll put it as 0.5. Similar is the case for CB as well as CD, 0.5, 0.5. Now without doing the calculation also we can find these values simply by looking at it, because we are having symmetry in the cross sections. So if you look here, all the members are having the same span as well as the same cross section and details. So I is going to be, I by L is going to be same for this beam, I by L is going to be same for this beam. So two beams are acting at the joint, the load carrying capacity of each of them is the same. Since the stiffness is the same, we can say they are going to equally share the loads. So 0.5 distribution factor is 0.5. Without doing the calculation also we can arrive at the distribution factors for the beams. Okay, but this is possible only if where the cases are very simple as we are considering here, because if the span as well as the loading is span as well as the moment of inertia is different, then obviously we will have to make the calculation, and this is how we make the calculation. Okay, now having done this, the next step is we have to move into the moment distribution scheme. So how do we do the moment distribution? So we have to make a tabular form again, and this is a tabular form that we are going to consider. So if we look into this tabular form, the first column is for the joints. So we have a joint there, the next joint is B, next joint is C, and the last joint is D. We are having 4 joints there, so we write all the 4 joints. And the next column is for members. So member, so at A we are having only one member, AB. At B we are having two members, so what we will do is we will draw a line in between, and this will be BA and this will be BC. At C we are having two members, again we will draw a line, this will be CB and this will be CD. And at D we are having only one member, that is DC. Okay, the next column we have to write is the distribution factor. So the distribution factor at AB is 0. Distribution factor at all other points are 0 0.5, 0 0.5. This is also 0 0.5. And at DC the distribution factor we know is 1. Next column is our fixed end moment. If we look into the fixed end moments, AB was minus 133.3, this was plus 133.3, and this was minus 112.5, this was plus 37.5. Here the values were minus 100 and this was plus 100. So these were the values here. So these are the basic values we need to enter to start our moment distribution scheme. Now the very first step we have to do is we need to do the calculation for each of the step. So the first calculation we need to make is we have to start the balancing process. Next process we are going to start is known as the balancing process. Okay, now when we start the balancing process always has to start from the end pin or the pin or the overhanging end to pin or the overhanging end. So if we look here in the overhanging end, the moment that we are having is plus 100. However, in the original figure that we considered, the moment that is really at the point D, the moment that we are having is a clockwise 200. Okay, in reality the moment that is acting at the point D is a clockwise 200, but if we look into the moment distribution column that we are having, we are only having a plus 100 there, that is a clockwise 100. So to reach the conditions in the real beam, what we have to do is we have to add a plus 100 here, so that in total a plus 200 develops at the joint D. Okay, so now once this is done, uh, we should not be disturbing the equilibrium of this particular joint again. Okay, so plus 200 has been reached at joint D, that is the overhanging end or the um, end hinged end. Okay, so first thing we are going to start with is the end hinge or the overhang. Okay, these are the points where we are going to start our analysis and we are going to equilibrate them. So we equilibrate them, the loading, that the moment that was needed at the joint D was plus 200, there was only a plus 100, so we added a plus 100 also. Now that is over. Next thing is, which are the joints we have to equilibrate? The joints we have to equilibrate are the interior joints, right? We have to equilibrate either the interior supports or the end hinge or overhanging ends. These are the points where we have to equilibrate. We should not be equilibrating the fixed end, because the fixed end is capable of taking any amount of moment. Now let us start from the joint B. How do we find the how do we balance joint B? What we have to do is we have to first find what is the net moment that is acting at the joint B. The net moment that is going to act at joint B is 133.3 minus 112.5. So that is 20.8. 20.8 is the net moment that is acting at joint B. So it is a plus 20.8. That is the net moment at B. So for the joint B to be in equilibrium, we have to apply minus 20.8 at joint B. Okay, to bring once again the net moment, unbalanced moment at joint B is 133.33 minus 133.33 minus 112.5. So the net moment unbalanced at joint B is 20 plus 20.8. To balance it, what we have to do is we have to add a minus 20.8 to the joint B. And when we add that, that will be distributed to the members BC and BA in the ratio of their distribution factors. Since it is 0.5, half will be distributed. So what we have to do is we have to write minus 10.4 here, and we have to write minus 10.4 here. So now if you add all these forces, you will see that the net moment is 0, that is joint B is balanced. Next thing is we have to balance joint C. So when we balance joint C again, first we have to find the net unbalanced moment at joint C. So that is minus 100 plus 37.5. So the net unbalanced moment is minus 62.5. So to balance it, we have to apply plus 62.5. When we apply plus 62.5, that will be divided to members CB and CD in the ratio of the distribution factors. So the moment that we have to apply here will be a plus 31.25 and here also plus 31.25. So these are the moments that we have to apply. Okay, now if you see, after the first step of balancing, after the first, this is known as the first cycle. Okay, first cycle. After the first cycle of balancing, what has happened is we are having joint B which is in equilibrium, all the interior supports as well as the end hinge or the overhanging end has been brought to equilibrium. Next step is known as the carryover step. Okay, next step is known as the carryover step. Now, the rules with regard to carryover is we should never be carrying over to an end hinge or a low overhanging end. So there should not be any carrying over to an end hinge or an overhang. Okay, we should never carry over to an end hinge or an overhanging end. So, however, for example, we should not carry over for example, uh, if we consider D, uh, we have applied plus 100 at D. Okay, so we will carry over half of it to C. Okay, we are applying CD and DC are the same span. If you look here, CD and DC, they are part of the same span. Okay, so for I can draw a figure like this. This is your fixed end. Okay, this is C and this is D. If I am applying a moment at D, half of that will be carried over to C, and if I am applying a moment at C, half of that should be carried over to D. However, whatever moment I am applying at C will not be carried over to D because D is an end hinge or an overhanging end. Okay, D is an end hinge or an overhanging end, and therefore whatever is applied at C will not be carried over to D. But what we are applying at D can be carried over to C. Okay, so hope the idea is clear. Let us write that down. So the carryover from uh, D to C is plus 50. So we have carried over that. Next thing is we will consider the span BC. So when we consider the span BC, we have applied minus 10.4 at B, so half of that will be carried over to C, that is minus 5.2, and we have applied plus 31.25 at C, half of that will be carried over to B. So half of 31.25 is 15.6, so plus 15.6 will come here. Okay, similarly in AB we have applied minus 10.4 here at B, therefore minus 5.2 will be carried over to A. Again, if you notice now, all the interior joints, the equilibrium of the interior joints are now disturbed. For example, at B we are having an unbalanced moment of 15.6. Similarly, at C we are having an unbalanced moment here also. Okay, now we need to balance them again. So how do we do the balancing? We don't have to do anything here again because that is an end hinge or an overhang. We have already reached the equilibrating condition there, that is plus 200 moment. We don't have to touch this again. However, only after this first step we only have to concentrate on the interior supports. So we have a net unbalanced moment of plus 15.6, and therefore to balance it we have to apply minus 15.6 at joint B. Half of it will be distributed in the ratio of their distribution factors, that is 0.5. So if you do that, we will get the moment here as minus 7.8, here also it will come as minus 7.8. Now the difference between the net unbalanced moment at C, that is 50 minus 5.2 is 44.8, and that 44.8 is the net unbalanced moment. So to equilibrate it, we have to apply minus 44.8, and that will be distributed in the ratio of half or their distribution factors, that is minus 22.4 each. Okay. Again, the next step, so second cycle of balancing is over. The next step is again carryover. Where we have to carry over? We have to carry over to every other point except end hinge or overhang. So if we carry over from there till here, we are going to get this as minus 3.9. Then from B we have to carry over to C, minus 3.9, and this would be minus 11.2. So these are the carryovers. We don't have to carry over from C to D because D is an end hinge or an overhang. We will not carry over from there. Again, if you look, the equilibrium at the interior joints have been disturbed. We will have to balance again. So now if we try to balance it, minus 11.2 is the net unbalanced moment. To balance it, we have to apply plus 11.2, which will be distributed to both the members in the ratio of the distribution factors. So we will get plus 5.6 each. And here also minus 3.9 is the net unbalanced moment, which we have to distribute we have to apply plus 3.9 to balance it, which will be distributed in the ratio of their distribution factors, and we will get it as plus 1.95 and plus 1.95 each. Okay. Again, next step is, so this is balancing number 3. Next step is again carryover. We will carry over to every point except an end hinge or an overhang. So we will get 2.8 here. If we carry over this, we will get 2.8, and this one can be carried over, and we will be getting 0.98. Okay. Once again, if we look, we have disturbed the equilibrium of the interior joints, so we will have to balance again. This is balancing cycle number 4. So 0.98, if we try to balance by the former steps that we repeat the steps we have done again, we will get minus 4.9 each, and this if we try to balance, we will get minus 1.4 and minus 1.4. So we have already done 4 cycles of balancing. What we can do is we can do one more cycle of balance. We can do one more cycle of carryover and balancing. So if we do one more cycle of carryover and balancing, the carryover is going to be minus 0.25, and this is minus 0.7. So if we try to distribute it, this is going to be plus 3.5 plus 3.5, and this value would be 0.12 and 0.12. So now if we look, after 5 cycles of balancing, the net unbalanced moments that is coming is becoming very small, that is less than 1 kilonewton. Okay, so till the error is less than 1 kilonewton. For example, if you look in the first cycle of balancing, the error was some 10.10 kilonewton, which is a big amount. Here it was 30 kilonewton. In the second cycle of balancing, in the second cycle of first cycle, it was 10 and 30 at both the joints. In the second cycle of balancing, it reduced to 7 and 22. In the third cycle, it reduced to 5.6 and 1.95. In the fourth, it reduced to 0.5 and 1.4, and in the last, it reduced to 0.3 and 0.12. So basically, you can stop at any cycle of balancing if the error is less than 1 kilonewton. Okay, if the error is less than some 1 kilonewton, you can stop the balancing. So for example, if the error reached less than 1 kilonewton at the fourth cycle, you can stop it at the fourth cycle, or if it reached at the third cycle, you can stop it at the third cycle. Okay. Now after having done this, the next step is we have to find the final moments. Next step is always we have to end with a balancing step. Okay, because balancing step indicate that equilibrium has been reached, so we have to stop at a balancing step. Now, how do we find what is the net moment? The net moment here will be the sum of all the moments in that particular column. So if you take the sum of all the moments in this particular column, we will get the net moment here. It is coming as 139.8 9. Okay, 139.9. If we add all the values here, we will get it as 120.56. If we, this would be minus 120.56. Similarly, this would be 40.53, and this would be minus 40.53, and the value here would be plus 200. Okay, so these are the final moments. Now once we have the final moments, what we can do is we can draw the shear force as well as the bending moment diagram using the basic principles of statics. So what I will do is I will show you how to draw the bending moment diagram. You can do the analysis and draw the shear force diagram in the same way as you draw for any other. Once again, things we have to remember is the plus sign represents that the moment is acting clockwise on the member, and the minus sign indicates that it is acting anti-clockwise on the member. Now if you try to draw the shear force and the bending moment diagram, this is what we are having. This our original diagram was like this. So this was 1 meter, this was 200, and we had a central concentrated load of 200 here. We had an eccentric load of 200 here. This was 1 meter, 3 meter, and we had a load of 100 kilonewton per meter here. So A, B, C, D, and E. Okay. Now what we have to do is we need to draw the bending moment diagram, and when drawing the bending moment diagram, first thing is we will draw the support bending moment diagram. So at A, the bending moment is 139. So let us mark the values of the bending moment for the support first. So let us say this is 139, 139.9, and here it is 120. So let us say this is 120.56, and this is 40.53, and here it is 200. So let us mark it as 200 here. Now to draw the support bending moment diagram, we simply have to join them by straight lines, and variation is also a straight line here. So this is a support bending moment diagram, and the simply supported bending moment diagram can be drawn by finding the values of the maximum bending moment here. The maximum bending moment here is WL square by 8. Here it is WAB by L. This is WL square by 8. This is WAB by L, and here it is WL by 4. So if you I will simply draw it, you can find out the magnitudes. This is going to be a parabola, and this would be an eccentric loading. It is going to be a triangle, and here it is going to be a triangle which is symmetric. Okay, so this would be the diagram. The relative magnitudes, the maximum here will be 200, the maximum here would be 150, and the maximum here is 100. Okay, so these are the magnitudes. So we will have a plus sign here, we will have a minus sign here. This would be minus, this would be plus, minus, plus, and minus. So we can also highlight the portion of the active bending moment diagram. This would be the active bending moment diagram. So this is how we draw the bending moment diagram for a simply supported a continuous beam. Okay, through moment distribution method. Now once again, before we continue to the next problem that we are going to analyze, let me explain you the basic steps. Once again, first thing is we find out if we are having an overhang, we transfer the overhang to their corresponding um, equivalent form. That is, you will have a vertical load coming here as well as a moment coming here. Now after having done that, next step is we calculate the fixed end moments. So fixed end moments are calculated. Second, next step, we will calculate the using the tabular form. We will calculate the distribution factor for each of the members, joint ends. Then we will make the tabulation form. And in the tabulation form, what are the things we have to remember? So if we look into the tabulation form, first thing is we will be writing down the fixed end moments. And after writing down the fixed end moments, the balancing act has to start from the end hinge over the overhanging end. Okay, from that point we have to balance, and whatever moment is there, if it was only a NG hinge without any overhanging moment, if it was only ND hinge, the moment we should have applied to balance the joint D should have been minus 100. Okay, if it was only an ND hinge and without any overhanging moment, the moment at this ND hinge would be 0, and to balance it to the plus 100 we should have added minus 100. Okay, now since we were having plus 200 here, that is a clockwise 200 here, we added a plus 100 here. So that is how we balance it. And after that balancing is over, next we will balance all the interior supports. So balancing is over. How do we balance it? We first calculate the net unbalanced moment. To equilibrate it, we have to add the opposite of that, and when we add the opposite of that to the joint, it will be distributed to the joints in ratio of their distribution factors. Now that is one act of balancing. Now once the balancing is over, next step is carryover. And where do we carry over? We carry over to every single point except the end hinge or the overhanging end. So carryover is done. Carryover, what it will do is it will disturb the equilibrium of the interior supports, and now the interior support will have to be balanced again. And this process of carryover and balancing has to continue till the balancing moments are very small, that is preferably less than 1 kilonewton meter. Okay, till the balancing moments are less than 1 kilonewton meter, it has to be done. And a complete moment distribution means a balancing cycle. So after, let us say, 5 cycles of balancing, we have stopped our moment distribution and we find out the final moments. So these are the final moments that we have found out. Once we have the final moments, now using the same way we have done for previous problems, we can draw the shear force and bending moment diagram. Now the next question we have to consider, let us consider portal frame. Okay, so this is A, this is B, this is C, and this is D, and the loading on the portal frame is, let us say, all are 4 meter in height. This is also 4 meter, this is also 4 meter. The loading on the portal frame is, we are having a 10 kilonewton per meter load here, and we have a 200 kilonewton here. This is 1 meter, this is 3 meter, and here we have a central load of 200 kilonewton, and this is 2 meter, and this is 2 meter. I is same for all the members, and let us say we are also having a clockwise moment at the support D of magnitude 200 kilonewton meter. Okay, now to do the moment distribution, if we look into this particular question, you will see that the loading of this portal frame is exactly similar to the loading of the continuous beam. Okay, the loading of this portal frame is exactly similar to the loading of the continuous frame, which means that the analysis as well as the result or the support moments of this portal frame will be same as that of the continuous beam. So whenever you are having a portal frame, all you have to do is you simply stretch it and see it as a beam, and you can simply analyze it in the same way that we analyze it as a beam. However, once you are having the final results, to draw the bending moment diagram, it is slightly different. So what I will do is I will not do the analysis for this portal frame, but I will show how to draw the bending moment diagram and what is the difference in it. So let us see how to draw the bending moment diagram for this case. This is what we are having. So this is A, B, C and D. The hogging moments are going to create tension on the outside of the beam. So support bending moment diagram has to be drawn on the outside. At A, the bending moment is 139. So we'll mark a 139 here. So this is 139.9. And at B, the bending moment was 120, so we will mark a 120 here. Since we are having a change of direction, we will also have to mark a 120 here also, so this is 120.56. At C we are having 40, so we will mark a 40 here. Since we are having a change of direction, we will mark a 40 here also, and it was 20 here, so this is 20. Okay, now what we have to do is we have to join all the support diagrams by straight lines. So we have joined all the support diagrams by these straight lines. So this is our support bending moment diagram. And after having drawn the support bending moment diagram, next thing is we have to superimpose it with the span bending moment diagram. Nothing different. We simply have to draw a parabola here. The magnitude is 200 for it. And here we will have an eccentric triangle. The magnitude was 150. And here you will have a symmetric triangle. And the magnitude was 100. Okay, then this would be negative, this would be positive, this would be negative, negative, positive, negative, negative, positive, and negative. So we can shade the active regions of the bending moment diagram. So this would be the active regions of the bending moment diagram. Okay, so this is how we draw shear force and bending moment diagram for a portal frame. Okay, and the analysis of a portal frame is exactly same as the analysis of a continuous beam. So with this we stop our discussion on analysis of moment distribution using analysis of continuous beams as well as portal frames using moment distribution. We will do one more example relating to the same. Maybe we will solve it with a portal frame and try to see how the bending moment for the continuous beam has to be drawn. Okay, so we will see in another lecture. Thank you.